What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another Omniheroes video. Okay, guys, we're getting a fairly good request abundance, actually, of the Sage's Tome. So I want to talk about this and kind of give you guys my approach. Now, I want to preface this real quick. There is no right or wrong way, and every account will approach this differently, and I want to tell you guys why first and explain to you guys the reasoning behind what I'm trying to say here and how I approach it, and maybe how you may approach it or may not approach it depending on your account. And that's going to be really the deciding factor for you guys is your actual account. Okay, so let me explain this to you guys after I do this one little battle. I'm just going to skip this real quick. I don't really have very good Doomsayer, so that's a problem in itself, but here we go. Let's see what happens. 5.28, but that's not that bad. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Sage's Tome. So first off, how do you get yourself these currencies? So you can get yourself the currencies through various different ways. Okay, so number one, you can get it through the actual donations, which I highly recommend. Everybody in any guild should be donating minimum 30 to 100 if you're going to afford it, because it gives you, first off, these Grace Room ectoplasms, which is going to be your driving force for your Sage's Tomb, and also it increases your guild donations, plus you get to level up your guild faster, which means you'll have more members, which means you'll do better in the Grace Room realm. Now, this is where you're going to be doing most of your work. All of these bosses here will give you X amount of Grace Room ectoplasm, and you're going to be using that. Once you kill a boss, you also have the opportunities to get yourself these treasure chests. Will give you some other items, and you can sometimes win currencies, such as, let's see if I can find you one here real quick. If anyone's wanted, there you go, 1,200 for example. Grass to Retox, 600 for Quan, like you see here. Slapnuts also, Slapnuts, I don't say that name. So yeah, you can see here a lot of people are winning some pretty good prizes. So there's a lot of benefits to doing these guild battles. Most importantly is the ectoplasms. Okay, now as you progress through this, you're also going to have these instant quests where you can do tier rewards. You can see here everybody gets a tier for completing them. You get quite a few of these Grace Room ectoplasms, but there's also weekly quests and then damage achievements as well too that you'll accomplish. And these are, I believe, one-time instance quests. So once you've completed them, they're done and you collect it. Now, what do you do with those currencies, right? Well, here's what ends up happening. Okay, so you end up going into the Sage's Tome here, and you will do something called the Trailblazers Legacy at first. So you will level this up to a certain point, and then you will open up these branches. Now, these branches are going to be affected specifically for the synergy you want to focus on, and this is where it becomes kind of up to you. So I'm going to give you my approach and what I've done and what I've found the most success with, okay? And then you guys can decide on your end how it works. Now, if you click on the tooltip here, Sage's Tomb provides stat bonuses and passes for all ally heroes. Use Grace Room Ectoplasm to level up each talent bonus. Leveling up boosts the stats of a whole team or a hero type. Leveling up Trailblazers Legacy to level 16 unlocks 6 talent branches. Obtaining glowing spirit shrooms when leveling up the major nodes of 6 talent branches to specific levels. Glowing spirit shrooms can be used to unlock corresponding talent pages of that skill. So the Chronicles here, you can read the storyline behind it, which I love that they put a storyline behind everything, to be quite honest. So this here will give you the raw stats, the base raw stats to everything. Everything else here, okay, the bonus overview is applied coming from your actual branches. So here's what I have done. I went through Berserk first, okay, and you can see here the overview, okay? So awareness, etc., right? So here's what I've done so far. Increases attack of the ally team by 200 during battle. After landing a crit, there's a 50% chance to apply 3 stacks of damage reduction. That is the first skill that you're going to unlock. Okay, so this here, guys, just so you're aware, okay, Ethereal Synergy can get the most buffs for every 10 levels of the major node at the bottom, increased by 1 to 2 talent points. So this is for the Ethereals, okay? This is mostly for them. So you're going to see here the stat increase for them, and then you're going to get to choose Awareness Sword, and you're going to get to choose Awareness Arcanum. You have to do both in order to advance. So because Ethereal is my main group, I've gone ahead and done this. So increases attack of the ally by 200 during battle. After landing a critical hit, there's a 50% chance to apply a damage reduction, or defense reduction, sorry. And then this one here is increases the ally's defense, and there's a 50% chance to dispel the stack of defense boost on the target. And then here, once you get to this point, increases the HP of all allies by 1,500. After landing a crit, there's a 50% chance to dispel one stack of buffs on the target. So this is going to affect all of them. Now, I've pushed further even because, again, ethereals are my main unit. So I've pushed, and got all of the allies' defense. Now, you can see here, when you get to the actual awareness again, now you can do 2 stacks of defense reduction on the target, dispelling 2 defense boost, and then the last one here will give you dispelling 3 stacks of buffs. And then this is kind of where I've decided to end it, okay? And the reason behind that is all you're doing at that point is you're increasing the actual buffs and debuffs. And I've moved on to the second main team, which is going to be the Valianter. So if I go over here to Carnage, you guys can see I've now begun to work on them because they are my second best team. And it's the same scenario here where you want to go to a certain point that makes sense to you. So for example, for them, every time they kill an enemy, right, they do defense reduction on all enemies. So that's incredible for them. Each time an enemy target is killed, it dispels 1 stack of defense boost. And then over here as well, too, each time an enemy target is killed, it increases the next skill effect by 50% on the unit. So for Themis, that's massive. So you want to push this to right about, I'd say right here. But for these guys, you really, really want this last part here. So I would push these guys right up to this point, which is the skill number 2, and then move on to the next group. Now, something to note, these stats down here are applied to everyone. Now, how do you boost these stats, right? Because these nodes over here only apply to ethereals. These skills only apply to the ethereals. So note that, okay, when you're doing this. What applies to everybody else and how you see these boosts here come down, like, or happen right here, right? And you can see Trailblazers Legacy only gives you the base stats. So how are we getting these other boosts? So the way it works is the bottom right here, the level up here actually gives you the bonuses to everybody. So you are actually worthwhile doing these. If you want to just get stats for every single unit, you can actually reset this and get everybody these boosted stats across the board first, and then focus on that. But just note this, that there is a certain cap eventually of what the percentage is until you reach another certain point. So for example, to level this up, you get 300 attack, right? If you look at my Carnage, for example, it's now working on defense. So you have to get to a certain point to drop down to the next category, and it takes some time. Like look here, I've gone through the whole cycle here and got right back to attack. Now to move it further to this part, it's going to take some more time. The further you go, like look, it takes 3,900 to get 1 level, while this only takes 720. So another good strategy is you can level up each one to a certain point just to get the stat boost, and don't worry about the talent tree so much at the start, just so you can get the max amount of stats, especially if you have a wide variety of synergies and you haven't really been focusing on one. So 2 different ways to approach this, guys. Number 1 and number 2 is your 2 main teams get the most focus. So for me, that's going to be the Berserk and the Carnage. So my Valianters and my Ethereals. Rule number 3, if you don't have 2 synergies fully set up, or even a synergy fully set up, and you're still working on a general basis of units, or if you have a mix and mash of let's say 3 Mystifiers and 2 Avengers, you can always do what the other option, and that is just go around and focus on the main section here and boost all of the stats for every single unit in your team and take advantage of these insane bonuses. So 2 different ways to approach it. I hope this video helped you guys. Remember, you have the option to reset at any time, guys, with 50 gems. So there is no wrong way of doing this. There's just more efficient way of doing it. So that's my suggestion to you. That's how I approach it, and that's how I've been working on it. I've tested both ways. I've tested leveling all of them up to get the max amount of stats versus going with my 2 main teams. My 2 main teams work better. And I've tried my free-to-play account, which I have a second one running, and I've done all the stats instead, and that worked better for my main free-to-play account team because that team isn't exclusively using one main synergy. It's using 2 different ones together to get 2 different bonuses, and that's worked out better for my free-to-play account. So play with it. I hope this video helped understand this process a little better. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section, but this is a very, very important part of the game. So make sure you do some of your own testing and see what works for you but those two suggestions are probably the two best suggestions you're going to get for Sage's Tomb. All right, guys, this is Payne. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.